Good morning. Welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Wednesday, January 21st. Okay, let's take a look at the action. The S&Ps are down 0.13% this morning. The weakness is, the market's cautious. It's for good reason. I mean, we're juggling issues like Greenland. We're juggling issues like the unsettling move in the Japanese bond market. And of course, President Trump. President Trump is scheduled to speak today at 8:30 a.m. It might be a little later than that, but his speech could really be a juggernaut for the markets today. While he's supposed to be talking about affordability, there are two key administration officials that are heading to Russia tomorrow. There could be an announcement on the Russia-Ukraine conflict, so let's keep an eye out for that. In terms of, Davos that's going on, which is really the key story for the day. This morning, we heard from NVIDIA CEO. We also heard from, JP Morgan CEO, Jamie Dimon. They were both speaking this morning at Davos. What else do we have happening now? There's merger news. Smith Foods, SFD, they're taking over Nathan's Famous. Travelers Group, TRV, they announced a 5 billion share repurchasing plan. On the earnings front, we're seeing gains in Travelers Group, TRV, UAL, and Halliburton, HAL. They're all higher after their report, while Netflix and Johnson & Johnson are moving lower. Tomorrow morning, you got earnings from GE, Procter & Gamble, PG, Abbott Labs, ABT, McKesson, MKC, and Mobileye, MBLY. Those are some names to keep an eye on. Okay, let's take a look at the European markets, and the European markets remain active. We are seeing weakness, though. I got to tell you, it's not a joyful mood over in Europe right now. We're looking at the DAX, and we're seeing a sell-off in the DAX. It's down 299 points, which is 1.21%. Banks, other financial stocks, they're moving lower over possibilities of a sharper transatlantic trade confrontation. The FTSE's only down 0.31%. Their losses are partially offset by strength in miners and precious metals because the metals move higher in terms of distress like this. So, yeah, it's not getting hit too bad. But in Paris, the CAC is down 0.44%. They're, definitely seeing weakness in industrials, banking stocks, but it's being balanced by some gains in the luxury sector, which is somewhat positive. And then we're turning over to Asia last night. Asia was, mixed. I'd say call it mixed to higher. The Nikkei was down 216 points, or 0.41%. I mean, this is the key story out there. I mean, the index was down because of weakness in bank stocks, but that highlights the volatility raised about potential trading losses by the banks due to the increased volatility, especially in the bond market. Bond market is ripping over there because of the fact of Japanese increasing debt burden. They don't know if they really have the ability to pay for these tax cuts that the new administration is talking about. Then they're calling snap elections that are scheduled for next month. This is causing, some chaos in Japan's market, which started off the year in such a bullish fashion. Right now, it's looking ugly. It's not looking positive. Hong Kong, the Hang Seng, that rallied, moved higher by 97 points or 0.3%. It snapped its 4-day losing streak. Tech and consumer stocks led the rebound. And in China was higher. I mean, it was flat to higher, supported by gains in tech and AI stocks. Then we got to turn our attention over to oil because oil remains a key factor, and it is trading higher. We got WTI at $60.52 a barrel. That's up, 0.27 or 0.5% from earlier today. Brent is trading at $65.04, up 0.18%. Okay, you're dealing with a geopolitical uncertainty, which is never really, which is always a catalyst for volatility in crude oil. But the supply demands, the fundamentals show that the market is very well supplied. After the bell today, you get the API. They're going to be releasing their inventory estimates for last week. Another bill there, might be negative for oil prices, so we've got to keep an eye on that. Okay, let's turn our attention over to earnings, and we're talking about the latest earnings announcements that have hit the tape. And, we got to start off with last night with Netflix, ticker NFLX. I mean, first off, the stock's down 7%. It's trading $81.10. They beat by a penny. They did it on high revenue, but that guidance was not positive. UAL, ticker United Airlines, they beat by 16 cents. They did that on higher revenue. You look at UAL, it's trading higher by 3.56% this morning. Johnson & Johnson, ticker J&J, listen, they beat on revenue. They had a beat on revenue, but they only met on expectations. You look at Johnson & Johnson, as a result, it's down 3.31% this morning. Upcoming, nothing really significant after the bell, but tomorrow morning you got GE, General Electric, EPS is $1.41, expected move is 5.12%. Procter & Gamble, PG, their EPS is $1.87, expected move is 3.41%. And Mobileye, that could be interesting. MBLY, Michael Boy, Larry Yellow, their EPS is 6 cents with the expected move of 10.65%. Ooh, it's a big move. In terms of the economic events going on today, listen, it's all about Trump's speech today at Davos. It's happening at 8:30 a.m. That's the key event going on for today. There's some pending home sales index coming out at 10 a.m. There's some delayed reports that are being released today, but it's all about Davos. Davos is the key economic event for the day. What else do we have? Okay, let's take a look at the markets this morning. Listen, we got the S&Ps lower by about 0.1%. Dow stocks are mixed, and same with the FANG stocks. But you're looking at some of the news behind the tape, and you look at Amazon, ticker AMZN, which is down about 0.3%. They're going to be the e-commerce retailer is opening its largest store ever, just outside of Chicago in a suburb. This could be a trend for them as they try and take market share away from Walmart. Meta Platforms. Hey, this guy was speaking, their CFO, he was speaking at Davos this morning, and he indicated that their new AI lab has internally delivered its first AI models. If you look at shares of Meta, they're up about 1% this morning. What else do we see happening here? Netflix, NFLX. Listen, price target cuts are coming in. Guidance was underwhelming. You look at Netflix down 7.13% this morning. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, we've got to talk about J.P. Morgan. Jamie Dimon spoke at Davos today, and he said we need a stronger Europe and a stronger NATO. NVDA, their CEO spoke at Davos this morning and said AI needs more investment, not less. It's interesting. You're seeing the chip sectors moving higher, but overall, the rest of the tech isn't seeing the strong gains that the chip sector is having this morning. Microsoft, OpenAI starts offering chat ads to advertisers. Interesting, trying to monetize it. In terms of merger news, SFD, Smithfield Foods, they're going to be acquiring hot dog brand Nathan's Famous, NATH, for $102 a share. In terms of guidance news, Johnson & Johnson, J&J, they see full year 2026 adjusted EPS at $11.43 to $11.63. Street estimates $11.49. That's kind of positive guidance. Progressive Software, PRGS, they see Q1 EPS is $1.56 to $1.62. Street estimates $1.41. Wow, that's a nice one. They also just released earnings, and you look at the stock, it's up 7.38% this morning. Netflix sees full year 26 revenue coming in $50.7 billion to $51.7 billion. Street estimate is $50.98. Not awful, not great. In terms of buybacks, Travelers Corp, TRV, they announced a $5 billion share repurchasing plan. That's nice to see. Okay, now we're going to move on, and we're going to talk about our stock of the day. You know what? I got to go with Northern Trust, NTRS, Nancy, Tom, Richard, Sam. Earnings are out tomorrow morning. The EPS is $2.37 with the expected move of 6.35%. Call volume was light. Talking 71 calls to 23 puts. But the ratio is good. Open interest, 8,614 calls versus 2,559 puts. Again, that ratio is really nice. Major brokers are raising price targets. That's good to see. But for me, I expect to see some weakness in the stock this morning. I expect to see some weakness in the banks as well. That could change after Trump's speech, but I'm going to be cautious here, and I'm going to have an entry price of 141.80 for Northern Trust. But that's my pick of the day: NTRS, Northern Trust, 141.80. Okay, let's take a look at the hot news hitting the tape in the last 15 minutes or so. We got that Supreme Court is going to be hearing oral arguments over Lisa Cook employment at the Fed today. Oracle shares are on watch after the OpenAI CFO said the Stargate campus is more than halfway built out. Trump hasn't decided on who to lead the Fed, according to one U.S. official. Jamie Dimon's out there talking about Trump's recent comments to cap credit card fees. He said that would be an economic disaster. He also said the Fed really doesn't set interest rates. The Fed is a fast follower. Yeah, there's truth to that. U.S. Energy Secretary is in Davos. Venezuela output can rise 30% from its current to 900,000 barrels per day in the short to midterm. You don't understand what a challenge that infrastructure is, and the grade of their oil is not really that great. Berkshire Hathaway may sell its Kraft Heinz stake, according to a filing. Newegg, N-E-G-G, their chairman and largest shareholder was detained in China. Something funny is going on there. Chevron plans to close a deal to sell its oil refining distribution in Singapore. Nike doing more management leadership changes in Europe and the Middle East and Africa. Merck, B of A, adds Merck to its U.S. focus list #1. Apple still remains on the list, which is nice to see. Lululemon paused online sales of its new line of activewear after customer complaints. All right, that's all I'm seeing this morning. Okay, let's move on into our pick of the day yesterday, which was, Ally Financial, ALLY. Hey, listen, stock opened up at 42.53. Then it ran and hit a high of 43.33, which, that beats the 1% mark. It was there. It fell later in the day. It closed at 42.42, but it was a winner off that opening print. So yeah, I'll take it and walk away. I made a little money. I was happy. I'm not complaining. Anything can happen when you go into earnings, but you can always typically grab 1% ahead of these earnings because there's typically is volatility in these stocks. So you take it, you walk away, and you live to trade another day. But that concludes NewsWare's Trade Talks podcast for today, Wednesday, January 21st. guys, you know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.